Hi there, I'm Scott Lowe with ActualTech Media. I'm here today again at Unravel headquarters, where I'm joined by Stephen Wastie, who is the Chief Marketing Officer. Stephen, again, thank you for having us here.
Thanks for having me.
So, the cloud, did you know it's a thing?
Allegedly.
I know, I've heard a little bit about
Maybe.
it. So Unravel is doing some stuff with the cloud. Microsoft is an investor. You're in Azure, you're in Google. Yep. I'm sorry, in AWS.
Yep.
So tell me about your cloud story.
Sure, yeah, it's interesting. So as you know, we're helping companies optimize their data pipelines, making sure these modern data applications, which are dependent on these systems, Spark, Kafka, Hadoop, and other things, operate in a way they need to support the business, right? Support SLAs, and they're running cost effectively, and so forth. And what's been happening, as you said, cloud's a thing. And what's been happening over the last several years, and is really accelerating now, is how are those applications architected for the future, and how do I take advantage of these other services that are available to us on AWS, on Azure, and other cloud platforms. And so we've been, I think, diligently working over the last period of time, probably a year or so, on how do we think about and how do we enable customers who have large investments in data to think about capitalizing and utilizing those new services. And so people may start off on premise, for example, but pretty quickly they're starting to look at, well, can I use a service from AWS or from Azure? So for example, Azure has a service called HDI, Amazon has a service called EMR. Is that more applicable to what I need today than using an on-premise version of Cloudera or Hortonworks or some other distribution? And so we very quickly get into this kind of enterprise architecture discussion around, hey, what applications are candidates to be utilizing these kind of services? And then once I've identified those, then how do I go about assessment? How do I go about planning? How do I go about the actual migration? And then once the applications are there, and they may be there just natively, or they may be a combination sitting on premise in a hybrid mode, how do I manage those things to ensure we have the right levels of performance and cost assurance and so forth? And so we've essentially architected a sort of capability which enables us to sit on the marketplace. So we're available on the AWS marketplace and the Azure marketplace today. So you can deploy Unravel to support your data workloads there, specifically EMR and HDI. And then we're adding additional services to that all the time, right? So we're adding Redshift and Athena and other things. But the real sort of I guess objective there for us is as these pipelines become even more distributed, right, on premise and on the cloud, how do you make sure that you apply the same level of kind of architectural rigor and operational rigor to ensuring they're giving you the right level of performance, the right level of cost profile, and doing that in those environments is not as simple as doing it just on premise when you control your own data center and your own destiny.
Right.
So you get into things like, for example, like chargeback and showback. Right, so do you really know who all the applications and users are that are consuming all these resources in the environment in a shared service kind of situation? Well, you need to have the application level visibility, the user level visibility, and the resource level visibility, that full stack view. So you can give a full phone book version, if you like, sort of chargeback report to your application owners, right, such that you can manage costs more effectively and assign those back to business units and application users. So there's a whole series of capabilities which become into play when you're operating in a hybrid environment or in a native cloud environment that you didn't have to think about when you're just on premise.
Are you starting to see people, I mean, I know this is 2019 and lots of things are changing. Are you seeing people start in the cloud, start on premises, or start both? I mean, where are they starting with these efforts? Are they really looking at, I'm having some scaling challenges on premises, I need to be thinking about using some services in the cloud, or there's some services I need? Or are you starting to see more of a cloud-first approach to new deployments? So what are you seeing in the market?
I think all of the above. I don't think there's one size fits all. I think
Yeah.
if you're watching Google Next, you saw a bunch of announcements come out of there as well. Every use case is kind of applicable to many, many different types of environments. So, but we see a lot of people who have big investments in data. They have a on-premise Cloudera, Hortonworks, MapR stack, and they have some Spark, and they have some Kafka, and they have some NoSQL. And they're looking at, well, how do I get better cost profile? Or I don't have the internal skill set to manage these things. How do I operate in a sort of managed service environment? Or how do I get the elasticity that I need in terms of resource consumption? And so people are looking at all of their applications, to be honest, to determine, right, what's the right suite of applications on what services that make sense for me, for my profile. And the whole cloud migration thing is it's not a one-time event, right? You're continually having new workloads. Those workloads are continually changing. It's just the nature of data and those applications demands, right? And in some cases, yeah, you're going to go straight cloud native, right? Let's just start, and start off in the cloud rather than trying to migrate something. So I think see everything, but there are a very large number of people who've made large investments in data that are trying to optimize that investment stack and optimize the performance of those applications and de-risk the ongoing performance and behavior and availability of those applications that are very invested in either Amazon or Azure or GCP. So we see kind of all of the above. And so our view of that is you kind of need to be agnostic, right? You need to be able to support whatever platform and whatever services and whatever applications are in that path. From when that data needs to be ingested, it's coming in via Kafka streaming, for example, to when it actually gets consumed by the application. There's a lot of components in the path. Some are in the cloud, some are on premise, but you need to be able to unify that information, right? You need to be able to unify that to be able to identify where issues are and get the right profile from the end-to-end application perspective, and then be able to take action on that to fix issues, to optimize cost profiles, to make changes as you go, right? As those application behaviors change,
right.
As you get more and more data coming in, how do you reconfigure things? How do you do dynamic scaling? All those kind of things that you need to do that are different in a cloud environment than they are on premise.
Very good. Stephen, thank you so much for this discussion.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you to our audience for watching this video.